Hi there, Working Homeschool Mom. This is Charlotte from Charlotte Jones 24/7 and My Little Homeschool. And this is episode number 72 of the Strike a Balance podcast for Working Homeschool Moms. Today, I'm going to be talking about childcare for homeschoolers and some of the options that are available for moms. And I have to give a shout out to my dear friends, Melissa and Kelly, who helped me put this episode together. I will link their websites in the show notes. Be sure to go and give them a follow. They are very experienced and very supportive homeschoolers. So not all of these options will work for your family. Some of them might not be viable, but I hope that they will at least give you an idea of what's out there so that you can start finding what's going to work for you and your family. As always, before we get to the episode, I'd be ever so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It just means that more working homeschool moms can find it, and in that way we can build this beautiful, strong community together. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome to the Strike a Balance podcast for working homeschool moms. This is Charlotte Jones. I'm a homeschool coach and homeschooling mom of twin boys. I know it can feel really overwhelming to keep all the balls in the air all the time. So each week I chat about tips and strategies for being a happy and thriving working homeschool mom that you can implement in your life too. I also speak to awesome and inspiring women who manage to juggle homeschooling and work successfully and find out what their secrets are. Be sure to check out my time audit and mindset challenge in the show notes and sign up to my newsletter for lots of cool freebies. And if you ever need to chat, please book in a session with me. I'm so excited for you to be here and I hope you'll get so much value out of this episode. So let's get started. Are you looking for a new math curriculum? Well, I'm thrilled to introduce our favorite math curriculum to you. CTCMath specializes in providing online video tutorials that take a multi-sensory approach to learning. Favorably reviewed in Cathy Duffy's 102 Top Picks and the Old Schoolhouse Crew Review, the lessons are short and concise to help your children break down concepts and appreciate math in a whole new way. The lessons are taught the traditional way and not to a test. Each one of the video tutorials is taught by an internationally acclaimed teacher, Pat Murray, who is renowned for teaching math concepts in a simple, easy to understand way and in only a few minutes at a time. Using a multi-sensory approach means having the combination of effective graphics and animation synchronized with the voice of a friendly teacher together with a practical assessment. This three-pronged attack makes learning so much easier and more effective. Even students who struggled with math are getting fantastic results, and ones who were doing okay before are now doing brilliantly. Visit ctcmath.com today to start your free trial. CTC Maths is generously offering my listeners an amazing special. Go to www.ctcmath.com/MLH to get a half-price discount plus a bonus 6 months for free. That's ctcmath.com/MLH. Childcare for homeschoolers, options for moms who work. If you've just started out on your working homeschool mom journey, you've probably Googled childcare for homeschoolers. And it's definitely something that is important to consider as much as a curriculum, as much as all those kinds of things as well. Because when we know that our kids are safe while we're working, it just frees us up to do the things we need to and also to do the things we want to. And it just means one less thing to worry about in our busy days. So, like I said, in this episode, I'm going to be looking at some childcare options. And even if they're not all possible or viable for you, I hope that they will give you a starting point to find out what works for you and your family. So let's start by looking at some childcare possibilities within the homeschooling community. You may be able to find childcare within your homeschool community, and it's a great place to start because other homeschool moms will get what it's like. And if you found a group of homeschoolers who you get along with and who you feel are your kinds of people, you can start inquiring or maybe even putting forward some options or some ideas for others as well. One option is to drop your kids off at a co-op. Homeschool co-ops are becoming more and more popular, and they're a great option for working homeschool moms. There are loads of different types that you can choose from, so you really need to find one that feels right and suits your time, your educational views, your pocket, things like that. Word of mouth or Facebook groups are going to be a good resource to find what you're looking for, and don't be shy to ask lots and lots and lots of questions. You have to feel confident about leaving your kid at a co-op. Beck from How I Homeschool has an in-depth post about everything you need to know about homeschool co-ops, and I will leave that in the show notes. And she also has some ideas for starting your own co-op, which I think is a really cool idea. Another option is to do swap days with other homeschool families. Childcare for homeschoolers is great when it can be shared and reciprocated. And what better way to do this than with other working homeschool moms and their kids? So if you found a homeschool mom you trust and who trusts you, why not do swap days? This could take on so many different forms, but let me give you an example what this could look like. Let's say your friend goes to the office on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you need to have undisturbed meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you take her kids when she works, and she takes your kids when you have meetings. So in order for this to work successfully, here are some things to keep in mind. Make sure that the swaps are 100% reciprocal. It's easy for resentment to build up when one mom is doing more caring than the other. And in keeping with this, it's a good idea to decide on your reciprocal swap right away by organizing each day at the same time. In this way, it will remain fair for both sides. Be on time to pick up your kids. It makes scheduling so much more effective and easy, and we know how important time management is for us working homeschool moms. Pack clothes and snacks for your children. Then the mom that you're dropping your kids off at doesn't have to worry about your kids getting dirty or food preferences, and it just makes it easier for her as well. And then try and be as organized as possible. Make sure that your kids have everything they need, that you are contactable, or that she has all your numbers and ways to contact you. And it will just make the whole time smoother and more enjoyable for everyone. Older homeschooling kids can also provide childcare for homeschoolers. And this is another fantastic option for a number of reasons. Homeschool kids understand what it's like to be homeschooled, so this is a really great jumping off point to build solid, trusting relationships. I found that often homeschool kids are used to interacting and socializing with lots of different ages, such as younger siblings or grandparents, for example. And this also really makes for good relationship building. And homeschoolers generally have flexible schedules, so it might be easier to find a time that works for both you and for them. And the flexibility also extends to their learning too. If they're older, they can work independently and take their work with them. So let's look at some childcare options outside of the homeschooling community. So if you're like me, then you don't have a tight-knit homeschooling community, but it's okay because there are definitely options for us too. Might take just a bit more figuring out and maybe a bit more explanation if people are unfamiliar with homeschooling. We all know how that is. You could find childcare at your gym or your church. So if you need a few hours to do some work or to have a meeting, then you could inquire if your gym and church have childcare options. And if they don't, you could make a suggestion that they do start them. As the working world becomes more flexible, more of these types of options are becoming available, I believe. And I feel that people are generally more open to living a life that has less clear-cut divisions for work, learning, and parenting. So I think people are much more open to these kinds of things, these kinds of options. So there's absolutely no harm in asking or suggesting. Once again, obviously be 100% sure you feel comfortable leaving your kids there, get some references or talk to moms you know who have used the same services before. If you live in a college town, then you could also have a great resource for childcare in college kids. College kids, especially those who are further along in their studies, can have a lot of flexibility in their schedules. It's also common for students to need to work during their studies. It's a time when they need to earn money, want to gain working experience, and also want to learn some skills that they can transfer to other jobs. And then obviously college students who are studying teaching or something in education are going to jump at the chance to work with kids. And they're going to be training to teach kids, which is great for you as a parent. But once again, be sure to get references for the candidates you're considering. And also make sure you know what the going rate is and how many hours they can work. You are employing someone after all. You can also search for childcare online, and there are lots of websites that can help you find childcare. Healthline has put together a really good list, and they have chosen them with certain criteria, which I think are really important. So they've looked at parent reviews. I know we don't always trust them, but if there are a lot, I think it's usually a pretty good indicator of the quality of the candidates, of the site, of the options. And they've also looked at different types of services. And I think this is important for working homeschool moms who might not need a date night babysitter, but something maybe more specific or a bit more long-term as well. Reputation, fees, and technology also played a role in the companies that they've chosen. And lastly, they made sure that each website that they named does a thorough background check. And I think it's a good idea to double check this if you can as well. And apart from this, obviously, there's always Facebook. Maybe there are some Facebook groups in your area that can point you in the right direction as well. If you're lucky enough to have a supportive family member that lives near you, then this is also a wonderful option. It also comes with an added benefit of children forging really strong relationships with their relatives. But I would suggest being sure that your family member can actually offer you this option. Can they really afford to look after your kids? Do they need some kind of compensation? Are they fit and able to? And are they willing to homeschool your kids? Maybe you would need to provide them some guidance on how to do this, some guidance or training. And do they actually believe in homeschooling? Are they on the same educational page as you are? And then if you have a spouse or a partner, you could also split the homeschooling with them. Dividing your schedules into, say, night and day could be a good way to juggle working and homeschooling for both of you. Just be sure that there are open lines of communication in your relationship. And I say this from experience. You both need to be honest about what you need and when you need it, or else resentment can quickly build up. Lastly, you could take your kids to work with you as well. And I know a few working homeschool moms who have done this. It's not always easy, but sometimes it is the only option, and it can absolutely work with some planning. Obviously, first you just need to make sure that your work will allow it. But once again, there's no harm in asking. Like I said, the boundaries between family and work and learning are blurring. So you could also suggest this as an option or just inquire. Then you also need to be upfront with your kids about the boundaries of time and space. This can be a little bit harder for the smaller ones, but if you start them when they're young, they'll learn about the boundaries of time and space, which are important. Pack lots and lots of snacks. Healthy snacks too, not too much sugar, because obviously that drives kids crazy. Many difficult situations can be solved with healthy snacks, I believe. And then obviously bring things to keep your kids occupied. This could be work, workbooks, and I say use screens if you need to. It might also be an idea to have a place where your kids can lie down if they need to, especially obviously if they're a little bit younger. And then if you can, take them out for a run a few times during the day so that they can burn off some energy. So final thoughts on childcare for homeschoolers. Finding childcare is such a personal thing. Like I said, this episode is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's just a starting point. Everyone's situation is different, and there's no good or bad childcare. You really need to find what works for you and your family. And I would just say be open to things that are less traditional or that you are maybe unfamiliar with as well. As always, if you need to chat about childcare or anything else related to being a working homeschool mom, please book in a session with me. I would love to support you on this journey. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Drop me a DM on Instagram or post on the Working Homeschool Mom support group over on Facebook, and let me know what resonated the most with you. It would also be great if you could rate, review, and subscribe, or share the podcast with a working homeschool mom who might need it. It's my mission to support as many working homeschool moms as possible. Until next time, take care. Hi there, working homeschool mom. This is Charlotte from Charlotte Jones 24/7 and My Little Homeschool.